All right, this is the Special Opioid Crisis Committee. This is Monday, December 5th, 2016. We're at 6 p.m. I have Councilor McKinnon.
Here.
I have Councilor McLaughlin.
Here.
I have Councilor Hinton.
Here.
And I have Councilor Hill as ex officio. We have 4 members present. We do have a quorum.
Thank you. Please stand. Salute the flag. Before we get started, Councilman DePiero will either be late or not in attendance tonight due to a wake that he is attending. Could read the first order of business.
All right. The only piece of business is creating an opioid response team.
I have 2 responses from, one is the Catherine Rollins, and it's the policy director and for the office of the mayor, and also another one from human resources director Michael Vitrano. I'll read Mike Vitrano's first. The following is the status of the coordinator and clinician position. The hiring process is ongoing for both positions. We have ended the process of screening all of the applicants that have applied for both positions. We will be reaching out this week to those applicants who will be moving on to the interview phase. We will schedule the interviews and hoping to have a decision made in the upcoming weeks. That was from the Human Resources Director. Also, this is from Catherine Rollins, and this is the Policy Director. This is an update on an Attorney General's grant. It came out of the AG's office, and she is applying for it. The City of Everett Office of Human Resources posted 2 positions in November, one for a program coordinator for the grant-funded Partnership for Success Youth Prescription Drug Misuse Prevention Program, and one for a public health clinician for substance misuse who will work on intervention and correct concert with first responders. Together, these positions are expected to assist residents with opioid and other drug use prevention, intervention, and access to treatment. The positions will remain posted until they are filled. The interviewing of candidates is in process for both by Mr. Steve Sapino, Executive Director of Health and Human Services, is the best contact for further information. Mr. Kevin O'Donnell, Chief of Staff, may also be able to provide further information in the future. Ms. Janice Gauthier, Director of Curriculum and Development of Everett Public Schools, will be submitting a proposal to the Attorney General, Maura Healy, for the AGAIN grant for Youth Opioid Prevention, YOP. The YOP grant is designated to support school-based prevention education initiatives to address opioid dependence and addiction in Massachusetts. The AGO is accepting grant applications from entities that will implement either a substantial prevention curriculum or prevention program within the public schools or public schools. Therefore, District of Massachusetts, there is a total of $500,000 in funding available statewide through the program. The grant guideline strongly encourages proposals to be between $2,500 and $20,000. The Everett School Department is seeking a grant for $20,000 for evidence-based prevention curriculum for students at the middle school level. Students participating in the classroom-based instruction will be mentored by older students who participate in the TISA Substance Misuse Prevention Group. As part of this proposal development process, Ms. Gauthier will appreciate any information that the committee could provide on its work to be used as context and demonstrate Everett's interest and commitment to this issue. Ms. Gauthier may be reached via email, igauthier@everett.k12.ma.us, or by phone at 617-394-2400, extension 6132. Councilman McLaughlin.
Mr. President, thank you. I had the opportunity this afternoon to have a lengthy discussion with Ms. Gauthier from our school system, and she had requested that some letters had been sent to Attorney General Haley in support of this grant that she's applying for. My question to you is, Mr. Chairman, is should we try to do a letter together as a board, or should we submit letters individually? I'm happy to
Put
do
in the
either.
form of proposal, please.
I would put a motion forward that we ask City Clerk Matarazzo to prepare a letter in support of the grant for the Attorney General's office before December 16th, that the 4 members of this honorable committee can co-sign in support of.
Motion made. On the motion?
Mr. Chairman, the only thing is, I absolutely support this 100%, but based on what it says in the second paragraph here, it says that it's a grant for support in school-based prevention, education, so I don't know what I don't know, maybe the clerk can help me out, I don't know, with us going along with them, I don't know what that would do, because it's a school grant.
I know that we've received funding. It was through the works of Senator DiDomenico and also Representative Joe McGonigal. We were anticipating some C9 cuts, but I don't believe that actually happened. So there's funding from that entity already. This, I think, if we had, and she basically is requesting in her letter form, and I didn't want to touch on it because I thought the question would be coming up anyway. It says a request for a letter of support to assist in the competitive grant process. The Special Opioid Crisis Committee could write and submit a letter to the Attorney General, Maura Healey,
Oh, I see at the bottom.
expressing, you see it now?
Yeah, I missed that. I
I'll
didn't
just-
get to read
okay.
it all, but thank you. I
I'll
didn't
just-
read that.
I'll
No, I appreciate
continue.
it.
Okay.
And I second Council McLaughlin's motion.
Motion made and
Mr.
seconded.
Chairman, could I make a, stay on talking that motion?
Councilman Hinman.
Talking about the motion of Councilor McLaughlin, asking the city council to send that letter over. I'm looking at the dates now that we have. This would have to go to the city council, so the next date would have to be 12/12, and anything that's passed would have to stay in our office until the 15th. And
Yeah.
I said something about December 15th.
Why don't we do
being the
something
date.
like this? Why couldn't we just send it as the committee?
Yeah, I was going to say that, because this
And
is
just
sort of
get it done.
a quasi, not really a meeting, so John, you could do that, right? Huh?
So why don't we do this? Why don't we make the motion to ask the city clerk to format a letter, or assistant city clerk, either one, and then format the letter coming from this committee here, so we
Yes.
can get it done.
Okay.
All right, motion made to have a letter drafted from our city clerk or assistant city clerk to send to Maura Healey in support of this grant that we're going after, and it would come from this committee. All those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. You have done so.
Chairman, I'd like to invite the individuals that are here up, if they all want to come up and take a seat, and we
Could
can...
we have the captain, the chief, Mr. Demas, and Ms. Silva?
Just a quick question while they're on their way up. The grant guidelines strongly encourage a proposal between $2,500 and $20,000. I see that the school has made the $20,000 one.
Yes.
Could we make another $20,000 one?
No, I think they
Just
award
one
up
only.
to 20,000, but we're going per community, so what we're doing is we're going for the max.
So we can get another 2,500?
No,
No?
we can only get the 20,000.
Okay.
It's, yeah, they're trying to hit as many communities right now with this, so.
Okay.
And reason being is they're trying to get a curriculum base for it to start teaching at lower level grades. And that idea, we presented that here. If we could just have names and titles, please.
Eric Demas, CFO.
Thank you.
Anthony Colley, Fire Chief.
Elaine Silva, Director for Health Department.
Catherine O'Brien, Everett Fire.
Patty Scalise, Everett Overcoming Addiction.
Victoria Amato Ward Funeral Home. Oh. Victoria Amato Ward Funeral Home.
Thank you for appearing tonight, everyone. I'd like to start with Mr. Demas in regards to the recovery coaches on the funding.
You're referring to the $6,000 for the training?
Yes.
I've had the opportunity to speak with the mayor. The mayor is in full support of these efforts, and this Thursday, he will be submitting a request to City Council for that funding.
Awesome. Good job. We're actually, we got the clinician, we got the program coordinator, now we're gonna have recovery coaches. I think that's a great thing. Logistics-wise, I know that's gonna be worked out at some point to where they're gonna be going. I have the role of a recovery coach. I'm gonna read it. It was given to me tonight. This is where the recovery coach, the role of a recovery coach. This is where a recovery coach becomes useful. Coaching goes beyond therapy and beyond what a sponsor does. A coach is much more than any one thing. A good recovery coach is a leader, a mentor, a partner, a therapist, a spiritual guide, and a cheerleader. A coach will do just about anything to help a client stay sober and to build a life that is meaningful and enjoyable. A coach wants the client to be more than just sober. A good coach wants the client to thrive. Here are just a few examples of what a coach might do for you. Be there day or night. Unlike a sponsor who is a volunteer, a coach works for you. If you need her at 3 a.m. because you think you might use, she will be there, or he will be there. Keep you accountable. A coach will make sure you do what you say you will do, and will take the necessary steps to make sure you aren't using. This could mean random drug testing or checking your house or stashes. Find resources. A coach can help you find the resources you need to get more treatment or to engage in other activities that will enrich your life, like education or finding a better job. Help you set and achieve goals. The coach wants their clients to succeed, but they will not do the work for them. A coach can help you realize what goals you want to achieve and will guide you towards their successful conclusion. Communicate with family. Getting back together with family after addiction can be tricky. A coach will help you learn to reconnect in a productive and positive way. What a coach cannot do. A recovery coach fills a pretty big role, but there are limits. A coach is not a doctor or a therapist. She cannot diagnose you with an addiction or treat your addiction. A coach will not tell you what to do if you are looking for someone to make all of your decisions for you. A coach is not the answer. A coach is a guide, not a dictator. If working with a coach sounds like something that could help you, there are professional organizations that can help you find the right person to meet your needs. That's the definitions of what we're trying to look for. Councilman McLaughlin.
Mr. Chairman, through you to Mr. Demas. Mr. Demas, good evening. The mayor comes before us next Monday evening requesting the $6,000 for recovery coaches. I'm sure will be unanimously supported. What is our timeline of getting the funds available or accessible?
The funds would be immediately accessible upon City Council approval of that appropriation. The funding source is going to be through free cash. So just like any other free cash appropriation, as soon as it is approved by City Council, it is available to be spent immediately.
Great. Then, Mr. Chairman, through you, we'll work on when the next round of recovery coach classes are. I know there's a college right out in Western Mass that does this.
I believe there's a few places. Ms. Scalise, do you know the answer to that? Which ones are available out there? I know Paul Hemsley had brought this topic up.
Yeah, the people that I know, they go to Worcester.
So the
It's a
closest one would
5-day
be
class,
Worcester?
yeah. Mhm.
Okay. Now, with that, it's a certification, and with that certification, they can go into the role of recovery coach?
Yeah, it's a certificate. If you want to get certified and paid for it, most recovery coaches that just take the 5-day class is volunteer. Like, they'll go out, follow up on overdoses, or help whoever is seeking recovery. Certification takes a lot longer, and that's a paid position,
Okay.
which
Now,
will
that would
require
be
more
that would be
hours.
further educating the
Yes,
certification? Okay.
yes,
All right, so this is just a basic cert right here to start off as recovery coaches?
yes.
Okay.
And
And that's
it's
what we're
mostly
looking to do right now?
All volunteers, yes.
Volunteers.
And a lot of them are in the recovery community. They've been sober for a few years, and they're giving back, so,
Or have members in their family or
yes.
deaths in their family
Yeah.
or whatever may be the case at that time?
But the best person for someone in recovery is someone that has been there. Because the stuff that they do and see,
Can't really be taught in books?
it can't be taught in books. They've lived it, they know the stories that come behind it, and they call them out on there.
Okay.
Ms. Clis, do you know how often those classes or program is offered throughout the course of the year? I'm just thinking, is this something we're gonna be able to readily put into process quickly?
I
or-
think it's offered once a month,
Oh, that's right.
yeah. And Moore can help you with that, too. Marion Frankos, she was here before, she can help you with that.
Councilman Mangan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to Scalise. Patty, questions, one is, in terms of screening, just your opinion, I know the mayor or whoever's gonna, or whether it's through a coordinator or clinician, somebody at some point is gonna screen these individuals to decide, who's the best 10 people to go out there, and you said people in the recovery, people that are recovering addicts. Would you be, like I said, having to know a lot about it, would you be possibly interested if the administration asked for, to you to sit in on some of those interviews with some of the people? Because, I'm sure there's people up there maybe that mean well, that want to do the right thing, but at the end of the day, ultimately, we're spending a certain amount of money on an individual, and I certainly don't, as much as I appreciate everyone going out there, I want to make sure that everyone's committed, to doing it and following it, following it
Yes.
through, because I don't want to spend $600 of the taxpayers' money on somebody that ends up going there and then not ends up, using it. So I would, whenever that time comes, I would certainly love for you to be part of that screening process, just to sit in and at least, consult with whoever's making the decision on, because I'm certainly not an expert by any stretch of the imagination, and maybe some people in administration aren't either, but to have somebody that has an understanding of it and everything else, I'd certainly, so whenever that time comes, I would certainly love to have you, certainly involved in that process.
Oh, absolutely.
And Mr. Demas, thank you. And Mr. Demas, providing that, everything, which I believe next week the funding will be approved, what is the time frame for actually getting everybody doing the interview process? Is the mayor looking at it like a month or 2 months or 3 months? Do you know what that process is right now in terms of what, how long it will take once we approve that money to actually get the people in, interview the people, and then whether it's January, February, March, whatever, does the mayor have a timeline on when he wants to send those possible, those 10 people out to, Worcester, wherever it may be, to train? Any idea? Does he given a time frame?
I certainly know sooner rather than later.
Okay.
The quicker we can implement this program, the better. The better for the city. As far as specifics on the implementation, I have not been part of any of those discussions.
Okay.
So, just handling the money
Okay,
side
yeah,
of it.
no, and I understand that, so, and if anyone, like I said, has a discussion with the mayor, I certainly will too, but if anyone, I would certainly, just my opinion, but, at the end of the day, when they do the screening process, if, because she's given so much to this effort, is that, I would certainly recommend that, you know, if anybody could bring it back to the mayor, that certainly Ms. Scalise, certainly should, they believe should sit in that process. That's
Make it in the
one thing I
form
would
of a
ask.
motion.
Okay, I make it, it's so moved, Mr. President.
Motion,
Second motion to
okay,
have Ms. Scalise a part of the continuing process.
for the recovery coaches.
Forever.
Motion made and seconded to have Ms. Patty Ann Scalise from Overcoming Addiction part of the selection process for the recovery coaches. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it, and we'll be sending this down to the mayor's office in the form of request from this committee here.
And also, Mr. Chairman, while you're up to, this is actually a little bit back to what we were talking about before, but if we could, I just want to make a motion that, because I know we're sending out a support letter of Mrs.
Sure.
Gauthier and so forth, so I just want to put in a form of motion that all the stuff relating to, you know, that support and everything else, and she gets a copy of all the minutes and all that stuff. If we
To
could-
who?
To Mrs. Gauthier, just so
Mrs.
she
Gauthier.
knows exactly.
Motion made and seconded to send a letter with all the requests and letters that we're sending out
Correct.
to Mrs. Gauthier as well. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes
Thank
have
you.
it. You have done so. Let me see. Ms. Silva, I'd like you to speak on the clinician and also the coordinator.
Clinician and the coordinator.
Yep.
The clinician is full-time. That will be someone who will be working, from my understanding today, is out of the fire department, will be based out of there. They will be writing programs, they will be overseeing the coaches, and they also will be going out with the fire and police to aid those that need it. Your program coordinator will be with us in the health department, and that is also a full-time position. That person will oversee the grant part, and they will also implement training and mostly into the school system.
Thank you on that. Chief, on that, not hearing that, we were looking at your opinion on how to logistically do this. So if you have any thoughts on that. I know in Wakefield, what they have done is the police chief, Ricky Smith, great guy, he took the clinician on board, and they actually go out on calls with the police. So they're actually riding with the police all night with them. So that's what they do in Wakefield.
In earlier conversations, I was kind of under the assumption that we're gonna do something very similar in Everett, which I don't see it being a bad thing either side, wherever they go, we all respond to these calls. You know, these calls come in, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's not just a weekend thing, it's not just a night thing, it's all over the place. So I would work through my training officer, Captain O'Brien, to see how best to utilize the position as far as hours are concerned, whether it's a regular work schedule during the week, or if we see influxes, and however best they, really serve this position. We have to
Are
take
you
a
now,
look at it.
Chief, I get a question from the chair, if it's okay. Right now, are you seeing the influx of overdoses on the weekends, or is it any time, or do you have that accurate? I know you were working on a system
Yeah,
now.
and we still are trying to track them, but we've never seen any days that are heavier. We go through periods of time where it's like 2 or 3 day increases, and it doesn't matter if that's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So they are all over the place. I would envision that this clinician probably wouldn't be a first responder in the sense of getting right in there, but with the follow-up in tracking it that way. So the necessity to have them in the position and be ready to go with us really isn't feasible, because they'd probably miss about 50% of the calls just by doing that. But I think having it work a regular work schedule, Monday through Friday, and then track,
Follow-up?
yep, and then track the follow-up, and people that need or want these services will be able to track that.
Now, also the recovery coaches, that aspect of it. As we heard in Malden, they actually are housed within the units, your fire units, they would be housed in. So what's the feeling on that?
The recovery
Same
coaches-
idea, kind of, as the clinician, or?
Yeah, it would have to be, when you say housed, you mean they operate under?
They basically, they're going out on calls and stuff like that, so.
So,
That's more of like the clinician would get in touch with the recovery coaches.
and then
They wouldn't be
dispatch
out
them
there
as
because
needed.
they were all volunteers.
So they
So
would,
they would follow up from the clinician. The clinician would give them a call.
So-
Do you want to go to this house with me, blah, blah, blah. And the clinician could work with either the parents, the family, and the recovery coach could work with the addict itself. And then they can help the family all at once.
This is a very similar process that other cities have rolled out, like Revere, and they use some off-duty fire personnel to do the same type of thing. So I don't foresee really any roadblocks. It's been created other places. We probably instituted very similar.
Yeah.
we'll just duplicate.
Exactly. And the follow-up is the key. Once we administer Narcan, it's mandated that they get transported. So there's really no one at that scene, other than the family members, and we'll be able to track that and get them in contact with these people. We'll be able to have some literature like we spoke about at the last meeting to pass out. The follow-up's gonna be key.
Thank you for that. Councilman McLaughlin, you had a question?
I do. So, am I understanding that the clinician will be actually going out on calls?
Not now, not as we just stated.
So, they won't, okay. Because if there's
They're
only
gonna do
one-
mostly, from the chair, they're gonna do mostly follow-up, and then follow-up through that will entail recovery coach.
Yeah, that makes more sense than trying to have this one individual
Yeah,
respond
it's-
to medical calls when there's only one individual doing
It's not gonna
this.
work, it might work in Wakefield, I don't know if it's gonna work here, so we're gonna try it out, see what happens.
So it's gonna just be a follow-up to the medical call that you receive, administrate,
Yes, Counselor. What I envision is if we didn't have that clinician person, we would have to tie up a resource internally to track these volunteers to make sure it's actually a successful
Doing the
program. We want
follow-up.
it to be as successful as possible. So I think they're going to be the overseer of the whole program. They'll be able to track certain areas. We'll be able to work through our computer system to see if there's spikes in certain neighborhoods in Everett, and, we can work with a lot of that data. But I would have to tie up another resource if we didn't have that. So we have the response down pat, police and fire. We're able to, provide a quick response, but I don't think it's necessary to have them on that initial call.
Correct, and I agree with you, Chief, and that's why I was asking if that was the process that was going to take place, because I agree this is more an administrative factor after the fact, dealing with it, that evening or the next morning, or whatever the case is, not actually having somebody go out on calls with you guys
Yep.
is what I envisioned, but I just want to make sure I was on the right page. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Councilman McLaughlin,
No,
Councilman Mayor.
thank you, no, they answered all my questions. We have two other guests here that are invited, and I don't know if they would like to, mention anything, or anything you'd like to bring to the table, anything,
These two individuals right here, they're looking at being recovery coaches.
Okay, so you're both interested in being recovery coaches, okay?
I'm not sure about a recovery coach, but I'm willing to help in any way that I can. I just don't see that I would have the time to go out and do that. Because of the nature of my job, it is 24 hours a day already. So I could be busy at the funeral home. It wouldn't be readily available to someone. But I'm interested in helping in any way that I can, maybe not necessarily as a recovery coach, but I do have time on my hands that I can help. So that's kind of why I'm here, to see what's going on.
Okay, thank you.
And the same with me, I know she mentioned the 5-day course, and that's just for volunteers. That's not a paid position. So I'm looking into that. I think this is a place.
Please turn on your
in
mic,
this
ma'am.
movement, I think this is for everyone. Everyone, because it concerns families, loved ones, the whole family unit. And it's a very important subject to me, personal also. So whatever I can do, I'm kind of looking forward into the 5-day course as a volunteer to start off with.
Okay, great, thank you. And also, Mr. Chairman, back to Ms. Scalise. Patty, I know we had talked about, like I said, and you had just mentioned earlier tonight about possible, if people want to get more certification, they can do that and so forth. And in order to be, I guess, a paid position down the road and so forth, is there any way we could get No, you could help us out maybe, unless you have the information already, Mr. Chairman. We could get some more information on what other type of in-depth training these people can possibly get. So for instance, we have 10 people that want to become a recovery coach and they go out to Worcester and they get certification. And let's just say of that group, there's one or maybe two individuals that say, I'd love to just keep doing it, whatever, and get some more and more training and so forth. Is there any way you could possibly get us some more information on that and what maybe other things people can get certified in terms of
I
other
can.
courses? If you could, at the next time we meet, if you could present that, I would really appreciate it.
I will.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you,
That's
Mr.
a
Chairman.
good, yeah, that was a good question, actually, because they'd be further educated and they'd be able to do more from just that position there that they're gonna be taking on as a voluntary position. They may end up getting paid at the end of it by the certifications that they get. Ms. Silva, do you know the certs that they have to go through?
No, I'm not that familiar with them, but I know there's like 3 levels.
I mentioned something. I
Yeah,
think it was
there's
like-
one online. I don't recall the name of the school, but it has 800 hours. And after that, you do get your certification. And from that certification, you can go on to a paid position.
And
but
that,
it-
how many, and that's 800 hours, and what does that
800
course
hours.
cost?
It was over $3,000.
So basically, right now, we're starting off at, like the lower tier volunteer, recovery coaches, but this can go into more extensive certifications.
There's like 3 levels from what I understand,
You get
Patty, am I
level
right?
one, level two,
Yeah,
level three.
yeah.
So at the third level, you're talking some extensive hours, and then
You can go out and get full-time, and it says they make average about $45,000 a year full-time as a paid recovery coach.
thank you. Councilman McLaughlin?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to
Yeah.
the chief or to Ms. Silva, have you guys thought, and to touch on Council Mangan's point with Ms. Calista serving on the interview committee, have you guys thought about any qualifications or any stipulations you would like to see put into that process as well for the recovery coaches, of who may actually go out, the 10 people that are going to go out to Worcester or wherever for the certification program? Have you guys thought about that process at all? What sort of
And
characteristics?
on that same thought, mind you, these are volunteers, so you're
We need
asking
to
a
make sure we have the right ones.
you're asking a volunteer for this, so.
Yeah, I haven't gotten too in-depth with what I would expect from them. I think through the city, and maybe we can bring the solicitor in at one point. We want to make sure that these people are vetted. They're going to be representing the city in private homes with families. We want to make sure that they have the best intent. We just want to protect these people. That's our intention with it. And I think that goes across the board. We do, there's a lot of things the police and fire do to ensure that, we get, morally upstanding people, because we're in people's homes. They allow us into their bedrooms, into their, the most private parts of their life, in their most sensitive times in their life when they're sick and they need help. And these people aren't gonna be that much different. We're just
I agree.
asking them to do it on, for a volunteer basis.
That's
I think they
part of it
need to be
right there,
vetted.
vetting.
I think another opportunity we should look at is, before this rolls out, and we want to bring in some people, and we want to get some local people that we have an interest in, have them get trained up. But I think if we put out that we are establishing that, we might be able to get some people from Malden, from maybe Revere, that will say, hey, well, you guys are getting off and running. If you have this program, we can get some experienced people.
Chief, not to interrupt, but Mr. Hemsley, at our last meeting, I believe he basically, they want to intertwine all the recovery coaches.
Yeah.
So if we need, say if we're down a couple that night, we can have, a couple of theirs. If they're down that night, they can have a couple of ours.
Yeah.
So they want to work with us.
That's a
So-
great program. I think, if we have people that have already been vetted through other people's systems and they've been successful at what they're doing, we can have them come in. Because even after a 5-day period of volunteers that are gonna step up and do this, make a commitment to do a 5-day training program, we still wanna make sure on that 6th or that 7th day when they're actually there, who do we have that has that experience to oversee them, to make sure that
Sure.
they're doing it. And we also have to look at, we can interview, we can get a bunch of people that are interested. They could go through that 5-day program and really, day 2, day 3, and say, this isn't for me, and we have to respect that, and we have to look at that as well. But those are all things we deal with on a daily basis operating the city.
Councilman Mangan?
No,
Councilman Hanlon?
I think that one of the things is you have to remember is,
Councilwoman Silva. but,
That's okay.
sorry, Madam Silva.
I've been called. I think one of the things that has to be emphasized, and one of the things I know that I would look into and really emphasize with these people going through these interviews, is that you have to be very dedicated to this. You may, as the chief has said, get out there a month or 2 later and not like it, but you have to be able to know what you're getting into. It's a very, very dedicated job. And if you get out there and you don't like it, you're going to have to admit it right away, because you're not going to do anybody any help. You're going to do no help to yourself and no help to that person that we're really trying to help.
Thank you for that. Any other questions?
That's a good point.
Seeing none. Any questions from the panel that's here tonight? Logistics-wise, I'd like to see pretty much, so we're gonna be looking at, so just, we have an overview of it. We're gonna be looking at the clinician and recoveries. They're gonna be working together, and they're gonna be basically going secondary as a follow-up out to the responses that your teams have out there in the field, correct?
Yep.
Okay. And then the coordinator will be mostly on site here with you, Ms. Silva, and he or she will be the, basically the grant writer, an overseer of things for that whole group of individuals that we're gonna be putting on here, correct? Okay. All right. Well, that's fair enough then. I thank you all for appearing tonight. We've made a couple of different motions that are going to be sent off as far as hiring processes and different things like that. But as far as logistics, we may want to probably make a motion to have that as part of the logistics aspect of it, so that we can have it go through fire and have the clinician and recoveries working together as a follow-up basis to that. So could we make a motion for that? Motion made and seconded to have the clinician and also the recovery coaches work tandem at a follow-up basis on ODs that are in the field, overdoses that are happening out in the field. All those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. You have done so. Councilman Mangan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to thank you, each and every one of you, whether, in the past or in the future, helping the city. It's amazing, like I said, we made great strides, I believe, this year, Mr. Chairman. Glenn, I said it many times, but I'm honored that former mayor and now current city president, current city council president, John Hanlon, put me on this committee. Like I said, it's a very, very rewarding committee for me. It's the most important one I believe I've ever been on in this city, so I want to thank you for putting me on there, and I hope we can continue with this next year, because it is a special committee. It has to be put back to, adopted again, whatever, but. All sessions, so it's actually 2 years then?
So it's 2.
Oh, okay, great. And all the work that every one of you do, like I said, and I said it's an important issue that goes to the heart of the city, and I just thank you, each and every one of you. Thank you.
Captain, did you have anything? I know you were sitting there nice and quiet. I'm going to pick on you now. So, do you have anything, training-wise or anything like that?
We're progressing with actually bringing Narcan into the school systems. Just the training at the Bavarian.
Is that on, Cap?
Yeah, that.
Can you just say that one more time?
We just, we completed training at the Cavarian School. We trained the principal, vice principal, the after-school specialist, and the nurse how to administer Narcan, and they have a few doses on hand. So we have it in the field. We have a lot of people know how to use it in case they need to. We're progressing.
Is it the, now, it's just a question from the chair. Is that the new Narcan, the double-dose Narcan now? Is that what you use?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just a quick question as well, too, is the amount of Narcan that you're utilizing now, because of the strength of the heroin and also fentanyl that's there now, are you seeing that you're using more Narcan?
So with the multi-stage 2 milligram dose, we were using a lot of doses on a single patient. It wasn't unusual to use 3 doses.
Sure.
With the single stage 4 milligram dose, the experience is still new, so we really don't have a good feel. My expectations would be that we're not going to be using as many units per patient care.
What are those costs of those units? The multi-
They're both nasal delivery. The single stage unit looks like an Afrin spray. Is about $140 a unit.
Okay.
The nasal Narcan with the atomizer is about $40 a unit.
Okay. Now, speaking to Catherine Rollins, I know she's also been in contact with the city of Waltham, because I contacted them, and I spoke to their director out there. They have 100 units that go into the fire department monthly. So we're trying to see if we can do the same thing here. By doing that, we'll probably save a bundle of money, I would think.
Absolutely.
And then those units that aren't utilized, that are like obsolete, we'll say, they get kicked out to the public.
Right.
For their use at home. So it's a win-win. So we're trying to do that now. We're researching it now. I know that she's made several calls out there, and she's trying to get in touch with the people that actually do the grants. And I do not know the hospitals off the top of my head, but I've contacted one of the hospital administrations that are out there, and they do it part of a federal grant type thing. So we're looking into that now. I spoke to Ms. Silva today about that as well. So we're going to be researching that so that hopefully we can get these things on board. And then hopefully we can get them into the families' hands that actually need them. So
Great idea.
we're trying.
Mr. Chairman, I just have, on final note, I just want to wish all the members here, everyone here tonight, a very happy and safe Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to each and all your families. Thank you.
You too.
Thank you for appearing tonight, ladies and gentlemen, and motion to adjourn. All those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it.
This is Patty right here. I haven't met Patty yet.
Be careful, I want you to roll all the way back.
I knew you called me, but I called Joanne.
Hi, Joanne, how are you?
Good, but I don't know, I kept calling you and calling you. It must be maybe my phone, and maybe you said a 7 and it was a 4 or something.
Yeah, maybe.
So, would you write down your number again, and I'll call you? Because,
What's happening? How are you? How are you? That's bad.
I just asked her, she's writing her number.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, the thing
That's Victoria.
Hi.
Victoria, I'm trying to get this girl
That's
to a
quite all
meeting.
right, that's quite all right. All right.
I think it was, I think we called the 617, I think that was the mistake.
Sorry. What's up, ladies?
See, what I'm asking is, I want to do something, because this subject hits home to me. I do have some experience, but in a hospital setting, okay, because I'm a retired oncology nurse, but I work in neurology and pain clinics, and I got a lot of sad stories to tell. But the thing is, you said it was a 5-day course.
Yeah.
Okay. Does that cost anything?
No, the city's gonna pay for it.
It's what?
The city's willing to pay for it.
Yeah, but it costs, what, $150?
It's $800 a person to take a recovery coach course.
Oh, okay, because there's so many places that are doing it now, and I think one place in Connecticut wanted like $8,000.
Yeah, that's to get certified to make money from it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's all the steps.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then they said if you don't get your certification by June, then you take a written test. This is just happening the last few days.
Yeah, I haven't really looked into the whole
Yeah.
the whole course, because that's pretty much not what our group is interested in.
Well, I went into Boston to find out more information.
Yeah.
And that's how I got that information. They said now it's changed a little bit. They said, that if you really want to get certified, try to get like, I think, 500 hours in now before June. That's a lot of hours to get in.
Yeah.
And by the end of June, their certification will no longer be verbal. Now I guess they have a lot of people interested.
Yeah.
So it will be a written test, a couple of hours, they said. So that might even be more money to the written test. I don't know. So, like, and then I heard that there were 3 steps to it. They're only doing the 1 step, 5 steps, right?
Yeah, that's as far as we got with this group.
Yeah.
But it's a huge step, so,
Yeah,
for this group,
Yeah,
yeah.
but is that in Tewksbury? Not Tewksbury.
Worcester.
Worcester, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I got that. You know, the hard thing that affects everybody. Everybody's got a picture together. I'm probably the oldest one here, but I don't care. You know, I'm not dead yet.
Doesn't matter, no, you're not. You are not. I probably won't be able to do the recovery coach thing, just because I already am on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so, but I will, I would love to help, like, you do fundraising and all that, whatever else you need besides that.
Yeah,
Can you do the
absolutely.
5 days?
We do,
Get
I
tested?
can't, no, I can't,
see, I wouldn't be doing it either,
yeah,
because I have a job,
right.
Yeah, well, I have a job too.
and I'm 24/7, so
Yeah.
like you, I wouldn't,
Yeah.
it's not.
It's just not feasible.
My goal is
Yeah.
to get the people out there, get the city on board, and I can take a step back and
Right.
kind of get my life back,
Right, right.
because I've dedicated a lot of time. But my son's an addict.
So you're not interested in being recovered?
No.
Yeah,
no.
she basically is already, you basically
Yeah.
are.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
your
see,
whole-
I do
yeah.
a lot of placement, and I meet them where they're at. I do a lot of street outreach. So when I go into town a lot, yeah, I do a lot of street outreach. Yeah,
Can we get together on that? Because my job is a nurse over here at City Hall. I'm in the health department, but I also just recently changed over to outreach activities that I'm supposed to be getting involved in. Now, I did the elderly, but it didn't work out because they have Char Alliance, they have all these other places, so they really don't need me. You know, they're
yeah, we go into town,
yeah, that's all right.
and there's a lot of young homeless addicts out there. My son lived out there for a year, and I used to go into town every Sunday, sit with him, meet him where he's at, you know, but he finally found some recovery and came home, so we still go out there once a month. We deliver blankets, hats, coats, sandwiches. We talk to them, we give them the resources. Anybody's more than welcome to come with us. We go as a group,
Okay,
and you know.
when is your next step?
We're going out the 18th of December.
Call you on that.
Yes.